Hi, and welcome back to Smashing Apps. This month, I'm joined by three incredible educators who I'm lucky enough to know personally, and they're all going to be sharing an inspiring idea or inspiring app for you to use on the iPad in your classroom. Before we get too far into it, let's get to know each other a little bit. So Ruth, can I pass over to you for a quick introduction?
Hi there, my name is Ruth Burnett. I'm an Apple Distinguished Educator, class of 2023. I'm a primary teacher based in Bishopton, which is in Renfrewshire in Scotland. And I'm going to pass over to one of the other Scottish contingent. It's Chris.
Hi everyone, my name's Chris Mier. I am also an Apple Distinguished Educator from 2023 cohort, and also an Apple Learning Coach. I am the Glasgow Apple Regional Training Centre Manager, and I primarily work with teachers delivering CLPL across our city. I'm now going to pass to my colleague, Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Austria. I'm a secondary school teacher in Vienna. I teach English and history, and I'm also part of the Apple Distinguished Educator class of 2023. I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me. And so pass it back to Jacob.
That was perfect. I've never done a pass between the people that work quite as well as that. It's going to be a good episode. This is boding well, so well done, team. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, what is Smashing Apps? Why is Chris wearing so many Apple t-shirts and pin badges? What's going on here? Basically, we are all educators who are passionate about using iPad and Mac in our classrooms. And the idea of Smashing Apps is to kind of share a little bit of that experience, a couple of ideas to give you that spark of inspiration as the person watching this, to hopefully take it into your classroom. Don't worry if you're a complete novice, if you've never seen an iPad before. Probably you have seen an iPad at this stage in life. But if you ever use one in the classroom, don't panic. Or if you're an expert, I'm sure there'll be tips and tricks here for everyone. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a kind of 4 or 5 minute demo of a particular app or a particular feature in an app, followed by a kind of a casual chat afterwards, and then we'll pass on to the next person. So we're going to start off with Ruth.
Hi there. I'm going to show you one of my personal favourite apps. It's called Puppet Pals. It's quite an old app, but it's an oldie but a goodie. And I asked the kids in one of my classes this week, what app would they recommend that I share? And the vote was definitely hands down for Puppet Pals. So I'm going to share my screen with you just now. Okay, so it's worth saying that this is the Puppet Pals Director's Pass. So you have to pay a little bit extra for that to get access to all of the character banks that they have. And it's also worth noting that some of the character banks they're a little bit outdated, but the kids don't care. They absolutely love them regardless. So this is the Puppet Pals launching screen. And you can see that when you tap the More Characters button, there's a whole list down the left-hand side of different almost character sets that you can get. You're not limited when you're creating this little animation to just using characters from the one character set. You can mix and match from all of them, which is quite nifty. So you'll see I've downloaded a bunch of them for us to work with today. And we'll go back here. So when you're starting with Puppet Pals, I'll just press the start button here, you can choose up to 8 actors for your little animation. And I always say to the kids, try and not go for 8 because then it's just, there's too much going on. They're trying to control them. They're all trying to do funny voices and it just goes a bit wild. So I tend to try and say maybe lean more towards 4. And then if there's 2 of you, you can work on 2 each. Now I'm going to come back to my actors later. Because that's something else that you can add on. I'm just going to stick with the ones that are inbuilt in the app just now. So let's see, we'll just have this guy. And we'll have this guy here. Now you can then pick backdrops for your little animation that you're making. And for this animation, again, you get a selection from all the different character banks and you can mix and match from them and you can choose up to 5. And they can switch between them just like you would do if you were telling a story or if they were like creating a story, but in writing, they can switch between settings. So they can go back and forth between them. I'm just going to pick this guy and this guy. All right. So this is where the main Puppet Pals work goes on. And you'll see around the center screen, there's kind of like wooden boards. That's your offstage area. So the kids will move their characters off stage, and that means they're not being filmed at that time. Anything that happens in the central area is the bit that gets recorded. So they can move their characters on, they can resize them, they can rotate them, they can move them back off again. To move in between the different backgrounds, it's just these little toggles at the top. You'll see if I pull them down, they can switch between the little backdrops. So the key thing with Puppet Pals is to get them to practice beforehand and to make them aware that they can pause if things go wrong or if they get a fit of the giggles, which is always happening. I did it in class with them yesterday, and that is definitely what happened. So it's quite simple, quite straightforward, and quite intuitive as apps go, which is great, especially for down the school. I've used this with primary 1, where they're like 4 or 5, all the way up to primary 7, and they can just pretty much pick it up and go. So they'll record their little animation, have their little characters, come on, they do little voices, which is very cute. And then if the giggles kicks in, or they can't remember who's doing the next bit, they can pause it. And then they can begin again when they gain some composure. Off they come, off it goes. You get the picture. They can then, when they're finished, they stop it, pressing the stop button, and they can watch their little animation, have their little characters, come on, they do little voices, which is very, so you get the picture. You don't need to see me do all that again. They can then save this video and it exports it. They save it within Puppet Pals first. And then when they're happy with it, they can export it, and exports it direct to their camera roll. And this is one of the things that I really love about Puppet Pals, is it doesn't end there. You have the potential to put it together with lots of other apps as well. And we've done things before where they have created like sound effects and soundtracks in GarageBand, and then imported that into iMovie, added their little animations in as well. So there's lots of potential in there for app smashing, which I absolutely love. One of the other things that I'll show you as well, so that's just how to use the Puppet Pals things that are built in, the features that are built into the app. You can also create your own characters. So if I press start again, you'll see that I've got 2 little drawings up the top here, a little snake guy and a little red panda. These were requests from my own children. These are their favourite animals. So I've just drawn these in a drawing app on my iPad. And that means the children are free to create their own characters as well, but they can also take photos of each other and have each other within their animations. So we can add actor from photo. And I'm going to go and I'm going to pick another character that I have created and exported to my camera roll. So I've got a little otter now. Now, it's not quite as nifty as like Lift Subject Sparkle, where it can get a really nice cut around the edge of it. You're just basically using your finger to cut it out. So it can be a little bit haphazard, especially now. There we go, accept it. And then I've got my own characters. So they've created their own pieces of artwork that they are then using as their characters. Or they can take photos of each other and then cut round the edge of them and have themselves in their animation too. So I'm going to pick these guys. Same thing again. And again, this time I can also use backgrounds that I've either drawn or photographs that I've taken. So one of the ideas that the kids came up with is for our incoming primary 1 classes, is that they go around and take photographs of places in the school, and then they create a little animation with our house captains kind of introducing what they could do in those specific areas. So here's the open area, here's the gym hall, here's what happens here, just to make it a little bit more fun. So again, I've just taken some photos when we're out and about on a wee wander. And it's exactly the same as it was before. You can resize it and stuff as well, but for just now, I'll just stick with these. And then you'll see that we've got our new backdrops added in. And we've got our extra characters that I have created. So my nice little snake guy, red panda, and my otter. Now what I did there was the little toggle in the bottom left-hand corner. If they want to kind of test out what it's going to look like in terms of sizes, they can slide that and they'll see what it actually looks like when they're coming to record their animation. And the buttons from there on in all work the same. You can record, you can pause, you can stop it, export it to your camera roll, and then you can import that video from your camera roll into a whole bunch of other different things as well. So that's the thing that I love about Puppet Pals. I just think it allows a lot of creativity for the children, and it allows them to do so many different things across the curriculum. And as I said before, from wee ones all the way up to big ones, they totally love it. So that's Puppet Pals. Try it out. It's great. It's good fun, and the kids absolutely love it.
Ruth, that's very cool. Thank you. Puppet Pals is one of these apps that I've heard people talk about, and I've seen kind of bits of here and there, but I've not actually been like kind of shown the process from beginning to end before. And it's so child friendly, isn't it? That's my first takeaway. It's so
like they can pretty much pick it up and go. We've had digital leaders go down and help the primary ones get set up, and they maybe were there for like 10 minutes, and then the kids just had it. They were off. It's so intuitive. It's so straightforward, and they love it.
I can see why. And the fact that it's set up like a real theatre with like the staging area and the offstage and the little toggles and stuff, it's just fun. It's one of those apps that's obviously designed with that target audience in mind. And they've done a really nice job, haven't they? Chris, you were nodding along a lot through that.
Yeah. We actually have Puppet Pals as part of our build across Glasgow primary schools, so I am familiar with it. And I would wholeheartedly agree with what Ruth says, that the fact that the controls are so straightforward. There's nothing overly complicated about it. It's very intuitive. It's easy for the children to use. And we've also had primary ones using it in our school. So yeah, I've been nodding all the way through that, because as soon as I know Ruth already had mentioned Puppet Pals prior to this session, yeah. So I was kind of wondering if you were going to come armed with that, Ruth, and you didn't disappoint. So it's always good to see how other people are using it. I mean, that whole idea about taking it, your digital leaders taking it around the school and creating their own animations to then show to the primary ones. I'm like annoyed at myself. Why did I not think of that? Why did I not think of that? So yeah, I've been nodding furiously through it because I'm aware of Puppet Pals, but that has just given me a whole new dimension. So yeah,
amazing. So for people watching this, thinking, well, that looks like a really cool app and a lot of fun, but how could it fit into my curriculum? Have any of you got any kind of like ideas of perhaps activities or lessons that this works really effectively in? Anna, you're nodding.
Yeah, I was just
thinking on the people that are nodding today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to teach first graders in English as a second language. Okay. And there are so many stories in the book, and then and dialogues, especially dialogues at the beginning. And then kids are so not happy to act them out in front of the classroom, so I could easily do it with that. I've actually used Puppet Ball my first year of teaching. That was way back. Wow. And then I kind of forgot about it, and I didn't think it was still a thing. So I'm definitely going to download it and definitely going to use it this year.
I love that idea of using it to share that dialogue, and for children that perhaps aren't as confident doing it in front of the class. It's a really safe way of recording that and evidencing it, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also fun for them, right?
Absolutely. And that makes learning so much more impactful as well when it's fun. Ruth, have you had any kind of like real success stories with this app?
One of the best things that I think we have used it for in the past has been when it comes to our social and emotional well-being input. So helping kids run through social stories. So having that practice of see when things happen in the playground or things happen with friendships, acting it out with these little characters just takes away that that kind of fear of doing that out in the playground to start off with, or perhaps like you say, like the acting out in the drama, they're maybe not as comfortable in that way. But if they've got a little character they can do it with, it gives them that safe space to practice these social stories and the modeling these behaviours that we're looking for, that the children can find difficult sometimes, especially since COVID. So Puppet Pals provides that safety net for it. And so that's one of my most favourite things to do with it. And then we've also had the primary ones who do a big fairyland topic, and they just love it for retelling their fairy stories. So they've learned about it in class, and then they retell it using Puppet Pals, but they can also put their own little twist on it as well. So and like you say, Anna, it is an oldie, and you forget about it, and they didn't.
Absolutely.
It's great though, and they have Puppet Pals 2 now as well, where you can like move the limbs around and stuff. But I think for the wee ones, it's just that little bit more complicated. So this just works really well. I think it's quite simple, like you said, Chris. So for me, I think it can be used in so many different ways, which is the beauty of it.
That's actually a really interesting point, because as you were talking, whilst listening intently, I was also looking at the app on my iPad to see how much it was. And I noticed I was 2 on there, and I thought, well, that's strange. Why are you showing the older one? But you're completely right. For especially younger learners, you want to reduce any sort of friction and additional cognitive load. You want it to be as straightforward as you can. And actually, that makes it so much more relevant to that age group, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can pick it up and they can go. And they only need a little input initially. And then every time they return back to it, I've had kids in my class yesterday were primary 5, and they remembered using it in primary 1, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing Puppet Pals." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yeah." So they could just pick it up and go. I didn't need to spend any time giving them any input. They knew what they were doing, so it's great.
That's fantastic. Ruth, thank you so much for sharing that. Now,
Okay.
no pressure, Chris. We're off to a flying start here. We're going to pass over to you next.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. So yeah, my app that I want to share it's a stable. I would call it a stable app of the suite of apps that we have, and it's Showbie. Showbie has loads of features, as you may or may not know, but one of the things that stood out for me just last year, which I discovered from one of my colleagues, is the grading system. And I know the grading system is pretty straightforward. And this is what I was doing this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. So Anna, I feel your pain working late. So I've got all these assignments in Showbie. These are made up assignments. This is my test class. Obviously not narcissistic, but these are just accounts that I use for testing. So I've graded all these pupils here, and that's great. You can see the grading. It could be better. 1 out of 4 spelling words, yada, yada, yada. So that's fine. So I've got all this. But then what I discovered is if you come out of your class, if you like, you can go to the overview function here, and it gives you the entire overview of the results that you have that have been done in your classroom. Now, I've been using Showbie for about three years, and this was shown to me last year. And I was like, oh my God, how did I not know this? I knew about the grading system. Absolutely. I knew about that. But I didn't realize the impact of the overview system could have. So if you have multiple assignments in multiple folders, for example, you can isolate them. You could have an overview of all your literacy, an overview of all your maths. And the way it was sold to me by a teacher who was doing some RTC sessions for us was that when it comes to Parents' Night, you have instant data that you can talk about. Now, I am probably in the fortunate position I'm not going to have a Parents' Night for a long time. And the irony of this is that we rolled out Showbie 5 years ago, and I have never had a class yet where I've been able to use Showbie across the entire class, because I've been doing digital roles out with the classroom. So, and I thought this year I was going to get that class, a whole primary 7 with iPads, and you can use Showbie, really get into it. And unfortunately, that's not the case, because I'm not going to be in class anymore either. So that is one of the things. The overview function for me was just like, wow, how have I not known about this? So that's my first thing, because there are many, as you know. Another one of the functions that I really like in Showbie is the screen record function. Now, the screen record function, you tap on the plus sign, you can see down the bottom, you can screen record. Now, I'm not going to record it because it kicked me out the last time. So I do have a demo that I did earlier on this morning. So here's my little spelling task for pupils. So if I recorded this demo and I play the video here, now this is just, you could, as a teacher, you could do your screen record of the work that you want the pupils to do. This is very basic, so please don't judge me on this. That the beauty of the screen record function is this little icon up in the top left, the picture in picture. Now, when I discovered this, I was like, oh my God, this is an absolute game changer. Look what I can do here. I can open up the document the children are working on. I can have a little tutorial that the children can watch, and they can do the work at the same time. Do I need to be in the classroom? Probably not, but I should be. But this is just mind-blowing. And I know people will probably know about this, but the impact something like this can have is immense in the classroom. You are working with multiple groups in the classroom. You are spreading yourself extremely thin, trying to get round everybody, trying to assess everybody at the same time. It's a busy environment, a primary classroom. And having this and being prepared for when you send off those groups after a bit of direct instruction, to be able to then have this video that they can access in their own time is just wild. So again, for me, absolutely immense, the picture in picture. And I remember when Rachel from Showbie showed me it, I was like, oh my God, well, why do I not know these things? Oh, that's right, because I'm too busy setting up accounts and sorting iPads and etc. etc. So that is my second one. And my final one, which I absolutely love, is the link with Socrative. And I have to thank Showbie and say, thank goodness you eventually sorted out Socrative, because it was a bit of a nightmare to organize. But they have fixed it, and it is immense. So basically, not to put a too fine a point on it, you go into Socrative, you set up an account, etc. And then you can link that account with Showbie. It's not going to let me do it here because I need to go back out. But when you create a quiz, so here's my little quiz here that I've created already. This is from a probationer quiz that I was doing some time ago. This then lets you see your results of the quiz. So we don't want to see that because nobody's really taking it. But you can show the names, you can show the response, you can show the results as well. If I come out of here, let me just see if I can do another one very quickly. And I go to the plus sign, and down the bottom here it says quiz. If I tap on quiz, and I've got my quizzes already done in Socrative, I can start this quiz here. I can do instant feedback. I can give open navigation. So many different things that you can do here. Shuffle the questions, etc. When I launch the quiz, and I'm not going to be able to show you it right now because it would involve me logging out of this and then logging in as a pupil, okay, which I did last night on my other iPad because I have two iPads and a MacBook, etc., etc. But suffice to say, once the quiz has been completed by the pupils and once it's ended, check this out. You get the little ellipsis here, and you can distribute the scores to the pupils of the quiz. So you can see that on the left-hand side there, the 2.0 out of 3.0. That's the results of the quiz. But I can also distribute a report and view results. The report is, where is it here? It only goes to the one pupil. There's the report there. So they actually get a report of their quiz that they carried out. It is just, wow, I've got like everything I need here. It's instant feedback. It is the works. And I know I've gone on and I've probably taken up way too much of my time, everybody else's time. And I do like to talk a lot, unfortunately. But for me, this is just a complete package. There is one teeny weeny thing I think that's missing, teeny weeny thing. And I spoke to Rachel from Showbie about it before, is AI. If we could have AI built into Showbie to analyze pupil results and give instant feedback, a bit like Socrative's doing here, but in a more timely manner, without pressing as many buttons, that would be it. There would be nobody else in the market could touch Showbie at all, in my opinion. So yes, thank you for listening. Thank you.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing. You shared 3 really impactful tips there. And again, it's the time-saving simple tips that have the biggest impact on the children and also us as professionals in their classrooms. The whole picture-in-picture thing is such a simple feature. It's built into most iPad apps.
Yeah.
But using it in that way is transformative for learning in those situations. You can imagine, like you said, small group work or differentiated learning or however your school does it, where they can have that direct input from the teacher and they can rewatch it and jump back when they need. Very powerful.
Yeah. I think during lockdown, when we had the lockdowns, it was particularly useful. A lot of our teachers did, tutorials on mathematics, science, etc., and they posted the videos, and then the children could work through the exercises. So yeah, it absolutely had its place during lockdown, which was crucial because in our school we had just rolled out Showbie across the whole school, literally 2 weeks before lockdown happened. So our teachers were still getting to grips with it. I take my hat off to them because they absolutely ran with it. Parents were delighted because it was a seamless transition. We were very fortunate in that respect. I know other schools weren't so fortunate, but the transition was helped by these features, and the teachers just absolutely ran with them. So yeah, it's been like I said, I just absolutely love it, and it's just my thing.
No, brilliant. I can see that passion shines through, and I think that's what's lovely is hearing someone talks so passionately about something that means something to them, because it's genuine, it's honest, isn't it? Which is lovely. And we hand over to you. We're going to see, is it Procreate that you're looking to share?
It's Procreate, yes.
Oh, I'm excited for
actually
that.
Share my screen here. Okay. So yeah, I think back when COVID hit, I felt like I wanted to make videos for my children, and I thought I would actually be great at drawing, but that's what came out basically. So I started drawing with Keynote, and Apple always told me you can create. So that's what I tried to do. But I was pretty unhappy with that. And then I kind of started like using shades with my things I was producing. Why am I actually drawing stuff myself? Because as I said before, in Austria is very, very strong, very heavy on data security, and we teach children not to use any pictures from online without having the license for that. And then you kind of get very, there is not so much you can actually use. So I kind of like started having my own pictures or drawing my own stuff. But as you see, like, although Apple tells me I can create, sometimes it doesn't look that good. And then I have students who are very, very gifted when it comes to drawing. And so I was like, I'm a bit self-conscious when it comes to drawing. So I found something that I actually really like. Namely the animation, stickers. Stickers are a great thing, which I tend to use in Procreate. So if you open a Procreate app and just open a new blank space, you can just doodle the stuff you like. So in this case, I tried to doodle a small cloud. And then how do I actually get to make a sticker? So I will need to open up the layer function on the right corner and click on duplicate. So I'm duplicating this picture. So now I have two of them. And what I need to do now is I need to open up adjustments and use the Gaussian blur. And you want to swipe up to 11%, not more, because then it will get a bit fussy. And then you use the S button. I'm not sure how it's called. And you need to make sure that you're on automatic. And then you swipe your pen to the left now. Beforehand, you do the right, and now you do the left until you get a very nice border. And then one thing I tend to forget a lot is you actually want to click invert. And then you're basically done. So now we have this like weird color, but I like stickers with white background. So you want to select the white color on the right corner, and then you fill the layer. And now we have a completely white space, it looks like. But you see in the layers that we have actually colored the layer 2, like the upper layer 2 in white. So now you, how Procreate works is like, if you use it the right way, I did not a long time before, but you want to create layers and layers and layers and layers. And the cool thing is, if you use your 2 fingers, you can always put the layers together. And if you just use your finger, you can just swipe it down. But before we do that, you actually want to have a black background, because that is very important if you later want to just use the picture and get rid of the background. And then, as I said, you just take the layer and push it down so that it's underneath. And now you have your the background, the white background, the sticker background, and picture in the front. And now you can just share it. And so we have this thing, and I'm gonna import it into my Keynote, so that also just click on the picture icon, and then you want to remove the background, and that's what you get. So you can just change the color of the background. And I've been using it quite a lot. So on the left, you see a few pictures. So this is a game I have designed for my first graders because they need spelling in German and English. It's such a big hassle. So I've bought some. It's called Letter Mix. It's like cubes that have letters on it, and then the kids need to like put the letters in the correct order. And I've taken the pictures from. So I can't use the pictures from the book and just like cut them out, because that's data security. Not data security, but what's it called? Copyright issues. So I've basically drawn all of them myself, and then put them on a fun, colorful card. And I'm just gonna print them now, then I've used it for my sentence up here, like, what's your email address? So it's in a nice bow. And then I actually kind of like also used it for my graduates like 2 years ago, not 1 year ago now. And they had the stickers. I gave them stickers at the beginning of the year. So it's also like really nice because then you can just cut it out, print it on some sticker paper and then cut it out. And yeah, it's a really cool thing. So thanks for having me.
Anna, thank you. That was really, really lovely. I don't know everyone else, but Procreate is an app that scares me quite a lot because it feels like there's so much that you could possibly do. Well, it's like starting Photoshop for the first time. And I think it's things like that that inspire me to actually give it a go and start with a particular...
Yeah, and it looks nicer now. Like, my doodling doesn't look that nice. Oh, but then if I make it a sticker, it actually looks nice. Or it kind of like, yeah, it upgrades my drawing.
Yeah.
It makes
it natural.
Sorry?
It looks natural.
Kind of. But I can just use it on all my my stuff now. And now I don't have any issues anymore. And with like the whole data thing around me. And I do that stuff while I'm watching some TV. It's actually kind of fun.
Quite therapeutic doing like the doodling and stuff. I think your advice there about using that Gaussian, how you pronounce it?
Gaussian blur? I'm not sure.
However you pronounce it, using that to create the border is really nice because it obviously keeps the same shape, but it means you haven't got to draw freehand around it. And my thought was when I saw those stickers that I wondered if there's a way of importing them into Puppet Pals and using them in there.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
Well, I drew those little characters in Procreate, so that's...
Oh, check you out.
Because all you need to do is get like a transparent background somehow, and then that would go probably straight into Puppet Pals, and that would look awesome.
You can just, if you deselect the background, you should have the...
I'll have a transparent background straight.
Yeah, you can have a transparent background also, but it's easier to have like a black one if you want to get rid of the framework afterwards, a background afterwards.
Yes. So what we could do is we could create some lovely characters in Procreate. We could turn them into stickers. We could have a transparent background, export them into Puppet Pals. In Puppet Pals, we can make an animation telling a story, and then we could share that story on Showbie with the whole class. And then that is all of those things combined into one super project.
There you go. Look at that.
Absolutely.
Seamless.
And that feels like a really good point to draw this episode to a close. Chris, Ruth, Anna, thank you all so much for joining me today. I know that at least 2 of the 3 of you were up late last night preparing things, which I definitely didn't ask you to do, but I really appreciate it. And it's been an absolute joy hearing all of your tips and tricks, and I've got loads of things now I want to go and start doing. I'm going to try the stickers straight away and then try them in Puppet Pals, and I'm really excited to get stuck in. Thank you all so much for your time, and I'm looking forward to learning lots more from you in the future.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.